Hello and welcome to the day one of India Global Education and Skill Summit hosted by the Government of Telangana, Higher Education and Technical Education Department, Government of Telangana, organized by IndiGlobal Media Network. Engaging powerful minds and empowering transformation is the idea behind India Global Education Summit, which is for 3 days. The day one is focused on school, higher education, and the government. And following 2 days, we have the sessions focused on higher education as well as government, and various other uh, technical presentation would also be there. Over 100 education leaders from across the country joined. 20 state governments, country partner, were part of our India Global Education Skill Summit. A vibrant expo is also there, where various solutions and best practices are in display by various institutions. This particular summit is presented by Goutham Deemed University and powered by NICMAR. And at present, we are in a very interesting session. I would say it is a fireside chat. And for this, we have a special guest. He is a established branding expert. And today's session is the Fireside Chat is on harnessing social media to build academic reputation. So he's not just a established brand strategist, and he's a branding strategist for a well-known, reputed educational institution. So please join me in welcoming the brand strategist for a well-known, reputed institution, ICFAI Group, Mr. Sudhakar Rao, Director, Branding, ICFAI Group. Thank you very much, Mr. Rao, for joining us. It's an
Good evening and
very
thank you for having me over.
It's a pleasure. So it's an exciting subject. We are going to spend a few minutes on. You are a brand strategist. Uh, uh, you are quite active on social media, and you have your perception on various aspects. And you also represent a educational organization or a group, we can say. Basically, most of the academicians are shy from being on the social media or being active on the social media. I'm talking about academicians. They say it's all about, there is a general perception, it is all about teaching, the effective teaching that we need to focus on. What is your take on academicians? Should they be the part of social media bandwagon, or they should keep themselves away from it? Your take on it?
Yeah, you are absolutely right that the large community of academicians in this country, they come from a belief that they don't have to actually publicize themselves. They don't have to be present on social media. They don't have to talk about themselves. So all these things come from a legacy of our own cultural beliefs that education and teachers, they belong to a space where there is less noise and more service. So it emanates from the background that it is a noble profession, so on and so forth. But the times are changing. The times are changing faster than one can imagine. Today, the situation is driven more by technology, and the attention spans of the folks and the students and the influencers, everything is undergoing a huge change. In a scenario that is present currently, I think we need to make our point, and not just make a point, but we need to also play the roles of a role model, the role of a thought leader, the role of a teacher, even on social media. And if you don't make there is a vacuum, and that vacuum will be filled by someone else undesirable. So therefore, the academics will have to jump onto this bandwagon of social media and fill that gap and take it in the right direction, according to me.
Amazing. So you'll that gap will be filled if you're not there. There's someone else that will take away. So you mean to say it is necessity? Can you throw some
Yes.
light on that? How is it a necessity?
It is a necessity because today, you take an example of a classroom. A typical context of an academic is there is a class, boys and girls sitting in front of you, and then the teacher is standing in front of them and teaching in an offline mode. Similarly, in an online mode, you address a large number of students. They could be in remote locations, but that is one kind of format. They are captive to you, and you are talking to them. What are you fulfilling there? You're trying to fulfill not just information gaps, not just knowledge gaps, but you're inspiring them. Teacher is one of the best tools of inspiration to the student and to the community and the society at large. Now, when you don't do that continuously, when you don't expand that into other domains where your students are resting, for example, the youngsters who you are teaching, the undergraduate or the postgraduate, and even some of the college students, they are all digital natives on social media. Now, if it is their natural habitat, you need to be present around that natural habitat to continue to make your presence and also create that role model impact on the students who are there. If you are elsewhere and they live somewhere else, there is a disconnect. So it is a necessity and it is important to provide that connect. That divide has to be crossed over. And who else can do better than the teacher? Who else can do better than the academician? I think they have a large number of reasons, a large number of contextual opportunities for academicians to do so in the best possible manner. But watch out my words. If you don't do that, someone else will take that vacuum, and then probably the youth are misguided. It is not that we are only going to tell them that social media is a waste, but unless and until you are on the social media bandwagon and take it in the right direction, you will also not have that moral courage and authority to comment on social media, because it is left to those people who are not role models, and therefore it is going in the wrong direction.
Great. So it's a statement that's coming from Mr. Sudhakar Rao that if you do not use social media, and it's like they shouldn't be commenting unless you test it. Uh, we would like to know how most of the academicians are very recently getting updated to the technology, because now it has become a necessity in the age of pandemic. Do you see the huge gap? First of all, they are adapting themselves to technology, and there is another thing that's close to them, that's social media.
Yes. Uh, what you rightly mentioned is that the academicians have transformed themselves and transitioned very quickly into a tech enabled environment because of the pandemic. That ability has been accelerated quite well. Institutions and academicians have jumped onto that very well. What it means? It means that the academician is quite capable of bridging over, quite capable of transitioning into something new very quickly, probably much better than anyone else. So, with this proven capability, with this quick orientation, I think we need to also get onto the social media. So if the teacher or the academician is doing that, they will do in a great style, because social media is about content in a respectable, knowledgeable, contextual way. The content is produced, and those opportunities are great with the academician. For example, if a non-academician were to fill the gap on social media, they would fill the gap with the most common and mundane things. I'm not saying we're going to teach lessons out there, but certain important contexts which you encounter on a daily basis with the students is a very rich link to the content that only you have access to. So that can be shared in terms of nuggets, that can be shared in terms of interesting anecdotes, and that can be shared in terms of reflections for all of us, not just the community, but also for the teachers, because the students and teachers are part of this community. And we, teachers and students, are part of a larger community called society. So I think there is a very, very strong connect, strong necessity, and a proven ability why an academician can do a very good job once he takes up the role model impact kind of position on social media as well. You're muted, Sudheer.
Amazing. That's quite interesting take, and we get to see a lot of stories from you, and we get to see your latest updates. Now, we would like to know uh, how is it possible for academicians to strike a balance and for the with the usage of social media and keep up with the changing time, because they might fall behind. What is uh, the expert lines that might come from you for the academicians?
Yeah, I would not say that it has to be driven by a fear of falling behind. It has to be driven by uh, assuming a role that is very positive and impactful to the society of the students and parents and other influencers. So I will not come from the point of fear of lagging behind. I don't think they will ever lag behind. They are the very quick transitioning masters to new technology, as I mentioned, and they have shown the way for adaptability. Uh, yes, all the while people were thinking that institutions and academics are lagging behind in terms of adopting technology. The industry would think like that. I corrected the same thing across various fora in wherever I spoke in the past, that it is a misnomer, it is wrongly assessed. But the person who is closest to the customer, the person who is closest to the student is a teacher. He should be the epicenter of any architecture of technology. So therefore, if certain companies, edutech organizations think that academicians lag behind, or they don't really adapt, or they don't adopt technology quickly, then they are wrong. Without a teacher, without an academician being at the center of it, then the whole product will fail. So having said that, now my suggestion is that it is not just to build one's popularity. I mean, that is again a very simplistic way of looking at it. Now, if your voice matters to a large number of students, large number of stakeholders within the community, yes, it matters because you are the closest to the student. For example, today you have gone to the class and you have discussed a very interesting topic. You have discussed a new topic on light at a school level. You can ask the students to share their perceptions. There are various students who will respond to you in showing you entire darkness and say that this is because of absence of light. Some of the school students would revel in showing those kind of things. In the next class, you would teach a bunch of students that it is very difficult to go to the sun, but we can go to the moon. Man has attempted going to the Mars, but it is not very difficult to. It's not. It is difficult to go to sun. Then the student will, why is it difficult? The discussions on ozone layer. Then an interesting student would say, let me take a piece of ozone layer and create a suit, and then I go very close to the sun. It's called out of the box thinking. I'm just giving you an example or two where you will encounter some interesting out of the box responses from students only you can capture. Your job is to trigger out of the box responses, trigger some thinking process in them, trigger some possibilities in them. Now, having obtained the responses, you can very well share it on social media. Your classroom stories, your teaching learning stories will go a great way in probably impacting few others and probably many others. Now, at higher education level, you have golden opportunities of, say, you teach marketing, you teach finance. You can connect those concepts to what is happening off late. The textbook concepts will be turned upside down, but the real world out there is actually doing what is counterintuitive. For the financial strategy or investment analysis, if you have examples which you have taught through the textbook, you have to go through a few principles. But what you have actually seen in the real world is completely contraindicative of that. Then you can give those examples and see where all we can probably, extend our borders, where all we can actually stretch the logic and try and create new fields of opportunities for ourselves. That is in higher education. One anecdote, small, and we don't have to write pages and pages of history over there, but those interesting responses will tell you the line of thinking, and then you will have great followers. We are in a country where the worst of the Babas also have largest number of followers. But if teachers don't take on to these communication media of social expression, then the worst of the Babas will only rule the roost. So the teachers will have to take on there, fill in that gap, and fill in the gap in the right manner by sharing their learning anecdotes, by sharing right examples, and celebrating how this year's student have responded to a particular question or a thought process vis-a-vis a few years back. What was the response in the same classroom? I think it is endlessly joyous to talk about these opportunities for the academicians. And also imagine for the institutions where they are working, suppose there are 50 faculty members. On LinkedIn, if all of you write your name properly and write it correctly, then you are traceable, and then your collective impact will be very higher compared to any other advertisement that you create. If at least 20 out of the 50 faculty members regularly share their anecdotes and the thought leadership activities or some new initiatives that they are taking care of, not to get any accreditation or ranking, just in social media like LinkedIn, if you share, your acceptability, credibility, and the believability of your institution will go up immensely. It's much, much worth. It is 10x, 20x more than the advertising rupees that you spend in print, electronic, or digital media otherwise.
Amazing. So the worst of Babas are taking over, and it's not just the individual teacher's popularity or the teaching that goes to a larger audience or students, but it is also for the institution that is going to help in a big way.
Yes.
So we see you as a brand strategist. You are active in all social media platforms. How is it helping ICFAI?
Oh, ICFAI is a very large organization which is spread across 16 states in 20 locations, and we have 11 universities, 9 ICFAI business schools, 7 ICFAI tech schools, and 7 ICFAI law schools. It is one of the largest higher education network in the country, and Sudhakar is one small component of that organization. Institutions are always larger than individuals, but a few individuals, if they work in the right direction, that alignment would have a collective benefit for the institution, and that is what is happening for ICFAI. My esteemed colleagues, my senior colleagues as well, people who are directly teaching in various business schools and universities of ICFAI, all of them, they maintain a very good record of their thought processes on social media, especially LinkedIn and Facebook, and some of them are quite popular on Instagram. As I said, these are the target groups of our universities, that is the students at UG and PG level, are digital natives of Insta. So some of our faculty members are extremely popular there. They are demigods there. I'm
Okay.
very happy to note that these people are maintaining that connect both inside the classroom and outside the classroom, and they have a huge followership because they are maintaining a nice protocol of their meaningful presence on social media, especially across these platforms: Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Instagram, to get to the storytelling level where the youth are more largely connected. LinkedIn, where thought leadership and role model impacting can be done. And Facebook, to keep the relationship going on, little informal, and you can share anything but everything. But same incident or one particular subject, if you want to share across these three media, you can very beautifully share. For example, you have gone to watch a movie. Now, the very purpose that you have gone to watch a movie can be an update on Facebook. You're watching this movie at uh, Inox Theater in GVK 1. That's the update. And then you have a photo and the name of the movie. Now, LinkedIn can be about the lessons that you draw from a particular movie. For example, if the movie is Check Day, the kind of approaches that you draw, you can very nicely in a storytelling manner, you can say that, hey, while watching this movie, I recall how I did some of my HR interventions as an exercise in the classroom, or how I did for a corporate organization as part of my management development program, and then share the bottoms up approach, consolidating the people, creating a common, even if it is an artificial purpose sometime, and becoming the enemy of your entire team, which will unite them. I think these are very important lessons, as I was giving example of Check Day. Now, when you go to Insta, you can pick up a particular video and or a particular incident, and then talk only about that particular incident and create a small story about it. Maybe you can also add what you did in 2019 and connect it to what is happening in 2021. I think that's in summary about what it is. I'll give you another example. For example, you're traveling to Delhi, so you will post it on social media like Facebook. Uh, Today, I'm going to travel from Hyderabad to Indira Gandhi National Open, Indira Gandhi in the airport at New Delhi. That's a post, and people would know that you're traveling to Delhi. And then that's an update. And then some of the people, your friends, would know that you're going to meet them in Delhi. And then certain meetings can be lined up informally. That's about friends. Now, the same thing, you go there for a purpose. You're going to speak in a conference. You're going to make a presentation. You're going to have a discussion with one of the organizations, say like IndiGlobal or Uber or Microsoft. You're having a meeting. That particular aspect of meeting and meeting details can be presented on LinkedIn. And probably some of the important aspects that you're touching or accomplishments that you've already made. You signed an MOU with one of the companies over there, or you clinched a deal, or you have invited them for a particular special activity in relation to your institution. Then you can mention that. Now, in Instagram, what you would do is, while traveling from the tarmac to the airport base station, you would have noticed something, and then you take a small video of that and you put it on Instagram. I think you have filled almost all social media platforms. But then you have a very strong, compelling story across all these three things. Not just a story, also a compelling need to fulfill. I think these are the examples.
Amazing. So it basically shows after hearing to you, get to know its dire need and necessity, and everyone should catch up on to. And it is also like if someone hears this, the management should also think of. I mean to say, the educational institution management would also think of having their staff and faculty to be social media active.
Correct.
Do you see that
I
coming?
Yes, yes, I see that coming actually. I'll tell you, they also have institutional handles. Everyone has presence on social media these days, but mere presence is not enough. I think we need to fill in content and active participation. So, for example, your institution is ICFAI. ICFAI group or ICFAI various universities, we have social media handles on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, for example. We keep posting lots of information from institution, but any institutional handle or any company handle, even if it is not in education, is treated as a commercial handle. People don't respond too much. People think that it is commercial in nature. Now, what we'll have to fill in and earn the media and the attention is by having a team of your own faculty members, senior members, active members, to lead their participation on social media by having a meaningful presence, sharing their stories, and connecting with their core audience very, very religiously and regularly. Now, managements of various institutions also will have to take a cue from this, because all that you do by paying to your digital marketing agency will not yield as much as your collective networked strength of the internal stakeholders as displayed with their meaningful presence on social media. So they will have to necessarily take it up.
Amazing. So there's a solution that's coming to save your spending on digital marketing. Uh,
Strengthen it. It will multiply. It will
yes.
just multiply. In the absence of what I said, it will not multiply. But with social media bandwagon being taken up very collectively in a concerted effort, your advertising dollar would, or advertising rupee would multiply. And sometimes you don't have to spend any money. You have to only spend your energy, time, and attention.
So that's the word coming from, that is collective and multiply. These are the things that's going to make a larger impact. Before we let you go, Mr. Rao, we would like to know if there are academicians who are active and enjoy being on social media and we are very engaging and interactive. Those who are not, please, we would like to have some pointers from you. How do they start off and make it a habit?
Okay, it's very simple. They should first have the accounts on all the social media, number one. Number two, they should get down to a boot camp. Some of the like-minded people should be put in a room and there should be a boot camp. There should be a route map chalked out for them, and then they should make friends very quickly in the first 1 week, and then start sharing their stories. And how they can start sharing their stories can also be part of the boot camp. And if we start discussing with them, each one of them would be a fountainhead of unending stories, all of them meaningful, all of them useful. So it's very, very easy, but they need a trigger, they need a facilitator, and the boot camp will actually serve that purpose. And if they have the right person handling the boot camp for them, they will be quickly on this bandwagon and yielding much, much greater benefits of being there on social media. And I'm sure their target groups, their students and fellow teachers, all of them would enjoy for playing that meaningful role when they get onto social media.
Amazing. Those are the expert points that's coming from Mr. Sudhakar Rao. If this is the way that's going, I'm sure, besides the way, the kind of training, the professional development um, training that's happening with the academicians, I'm sure these kind of boot camps you which mentioned about are going to be part of their personality development. Of course, they are experts in academics, and social media is something which they need to catch upon and get into the bandwagon, as you mentioned. Thank you very much, Mr. Rao, for this interesting fireside chat, for joining us. With this, we would like to proudly uh, present the speaker certificate to Mr. Rao for joining us and giving interesting talk. Mr. Sudhakar Rao, Director, ICFAI Group. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sudheer. And I would also like to thank the IndiGlobal Summit for Education and Skills that you're organizing for the first time. The show is growing great. I wish you all the best in the future editions as well. We are happy to be with you on this show. Thank you.
Thank you so much.